Hello, good people, and welcome to Finest Skills Hub. Here, we learn, we connect, and we grow. 2 years ago, Finest Skills Hub partnered Think Right, an educational organization, to sponsor and train 22 girls in data analytics. Now, we chose to train them in Excel and Python because these two tools, one, are widely accessible, they are flexible, and we also believe that it would give the girls a broad foundation to apply their creative skills. And here was the challenge. When we were creating this course module, we had to teach Excel separately and Python separately. In the last 2 years, a lot has happened in Excel. So now Python is in Excel, which is very, very exciting. But just so you know, Excel is no more that regular calculator you use for VLOOKUP and all those things. A lot has changed. Now, let me show you what has changed and some of the tools that you can use right now in Excel, and we'll come back to our key functions. There's a lot you can use in Excel at the moment. So if you already know pivot tables, allowing you to create summary reports from your data model from tables as well. Okay, there's Power Query, that's the ETL to shape and transform your data. Okay, so this is also a very powerful tool in Excel. Then there's Power Pivot, that is the environment where our data model is going to sit in. Here, you can use Power Pivot to create DAX calculations, all this in Excel. Of course, you can find Power Pivot and DAX and Power Query in Power BI as well, right? Good old VBA is still in there, allowing us to automate. Okay, in recent times, you also have Office scripts, a more modern version to help you automate routine office tasks at the office, right? Then there's Lambda, right? Allowing us to create very powerful functions in Excel, okay? Then we have dynamic arrays. Of course, dynamic arrays is a game changer because instead of having your calculations sitting in cells, dynamic arrays allow you to spell your calculations. Okay, in recent times, you can even reference the arrays and then use them in subsequent calculations. Now, this series is about MDX, okay, multi-dimensional expressions, right? In simple terms, we are using cube functions, okay, which behaves the same way as MDX. Bottom line is that we have a data model and then we are querying or pulling data from that data model to use in our calculations. This has been in Excel for a while, and that is what this series is about, using cube functions similar to MDX. Then in recent times, the big one, Python. Okay, so now Python lives in Excel. You don't really have to step out and then create your codes in a different environment. Okay, hopefully in the near future, we'll be doing a series on this as well. And then there's a big one, not in yet, but very soon this is going to change a lot of things in here. But for now, this is all we have. Makes Excel the most popular business tool. So I would encourage you to step out and then start exploring how these tools and features, okay, can help you save time and work smart at the office. So hopefully you get the idea now. Excel arguably is the most powerful business tool at the office at the moment with all these functionalities. But this video is about cube functions, which is a simpler form of MDX, multi-dimensional expressions. Now, in simple terms, you have data, right? And then you load it into the data model. You create your data model in Power Pivot. Instead of using regular pivot tables to create your summaries, okay, using cube functions makes it easier to call specific values or aggregated values that you want in your analysis or final dashboard. We started this series a year ago. We've done 4 videos already. We want to continue and then build an interactive sales dashboard just with cube functions, no pivot tables. Okay, so let me walk you through the whole diagram that will explain the process we are going to use to achieve this. And then we'll get on to the topic for today, which is how to use slices and timelines in your cube calculations. So if you're game, join me and let's get this done in a few minutes. Okay, so here is a diagram that explains the process we are going to use. I have data. We have some lookup data and transactional data, right? Usually we prefer this data stored in tables. So if you're analyzing data and you have many tables, not a problem. Okay, you can take these 2 tables or how many tables you have, take them to Power Query. So you know Power Query is Excel's and Power BI's extract, transform, and load tool. Basically, we use it to shape, clean our data, okay, to put it in a form that will make it easy for us to create our analysis, right? So in Power Query, you can do a lot of transformations. When you are done, what you have are queries that you can now use Power Pivot in Excel, okay, to, if you like, connect all the various tables and then create what we call a data model. Right, so a data model allows you to put all the lookup tables, the transactional tables together. Okay, it's the background that drives all your calculations. Okay, so you connect the tables based on the common relationships that exist among these tables. Right, now at this point, when your data model is ready, you can use pivot tables to summarize. But in this case study, we are rather going to use cube functions. Right, and I explained that once you've created your measures, your data model is ready, you can use cube functions to just draw the key calculations in your model and for your dashboard. Once you are done with this, you can add some charts, you can add some slices, you can add timelines, and then you have an interactive dashboard. Now, this is not going to be a flat dashboard because if the data from your tables update or there are any changes, okay, it refreshes the entire model. Your calculations in cube functions also updates, and then your dashboard also updates as well. So this is the process we are using to create our dashboard. In a few seconds, I'm going to show you that final dashboard and then walk you through that as well. So in the end, we are going to create this final sales dashboard built with cube functions. Now, it shows us revenue, cost, profit margin, KPI target, profit by region. Here, I've used Ghana's old map. Okay, and then we have a breakdown of revenue, costs, and profit margin by month, and analysis of product subcategories, revenue, cost, profit margin, and the status. Now, the good thing here is that you can slice, okay, to a specific segment, to a specific category. You can even pick a particular delivery mode, okay. Now, we also have in here a discount simulator, which shows us the effect of applying a discount or not, okay, on our model, right? So this is the dashboard we are going to build at the end of the day, and we are going to use cube functions entirely throughout this process, no pivot tables. If you follow the series so far, what we've done is we've calculated our revenue, our costs, our profit, and profit margin. In this edition, we are going to learn how to put in slices and timelines in our calculations. Okay, so if you are game, let's walk through that in a few minutes so that you understand how you can make your cube calculations flexible with slices and timelines. So in our previous edition, we learned how to create these 4 calculations, right? So if you recall, we used cube value for these calculations. Let's quickly recap how we calculated this using cube value. Cube value is one of the cube functions in Excel. Okay, we pointed it to the data model. So to do that, you do a double quote. The data model pops up. You select, you close your double quote. Then from this point, you can bring a comma and now call the measure that you are interested in. So here we want to get total revenue, which we calculated as a measure earlier, right? So I'll bring a double quote, it lists all the tables and the measure tables as well. So I'll come to measures, select it, and I bring a dot. It goes in and then pulls all the existing measures. So at this point, I'm interested in total revenue. I'll complete the selection and then do a double quote from here. Okay, so if I close this, I'm going to get 6998, which is the same value representing sales for 2018, 2019 across all the categories and for the products as well, right? But what makes our dashboard interactive are slices and timelines, right? The ability to click and then drill down on these numbers that you see on your screen. With cube formulas, you can embed slices and timelines. We already have our data model, right? So we can insert a slicer by going to insert, and then we have slices and timelines in the filter group here. So I'm going to start off with a slicer. Then I'll switch to the data model. So in the data model, I have access to all my tables. Okay, so if you look at our final dashboard, we built a slicer on segment, we built a slicer for category, and then we also built a slicer for delivery mode, right? So I'm checking all these three, and then when I click OK, you notice that I have these slicers here. Later, we use these in our dashboard, right? But for now, we just want to embed these slicers in our calculations. Now, when you insert slicers, slicers come with their names. So if I select any of these slicers and I go to the slicer tab, under the slicer caption, I see the names of each slicer. It's very important you take note of these names, right? So we are going to now modify our earlier calculation. Okay, very simple process. Earlier, you ended with the measure itself. Okay, so I'll just back off the closing bracket and then bring a comma. Now, when I bring a comma, I can now call any of the slicers with a slicer name starting with SL. So when I do SL, this pops up slicer category. I can select it. I bring a comma. I do another SL. This is for delivery mode. And then finally, this SL is for the segment. Okay, then I'll close my bracket. Now, I still have the value here because I have not selected any item from any of the slicers. So if I want only sales or revenue for consumers, the consumer segment, I'll just click on it. It drills it down. If I want to drill it down to a particular category of product, electronics, it drills it down. If I want to do for a particular type of delivery mode, I click on it, it drills it down. Right, so that is how you can embed slicers in your calculations. It's not only slicers, you could also do for timelines as well. Right, now in your data model, it is best to have your timelines point to a calendar table. Right, so let's take a quick trip to the data model. So I'm going to Power Pivot, which is a tab I have activated. Okay, I'll go to manage to access the Power Pivot environment. In Excel, this is where we create our data model. Okay, so if I come to the design tab, okay, and then I go to date table, in Power Pivot in Excel, you can create a whole calendar table from scratch using this button, right? So if I click on the new, it will scan my data model and then it will determine where it will begin. You know, for calendar tables, you are supposed to have all dates represented in your data model and it should be dynamic as well. Okay, so I have this starting from 1st January 2018 all the way to 31st December 2019, covering the 2 years, right? So this calendar table is now present in my data model. If I go to home and I switch this to diagram view, okay, you realize that it's now present in this diagram view. Okay, it's a dimension table, so I can connect the delivery date, okay, or order date, depends on the calculation you are doing, to this. Okay, so this now completes my data model. The timeline is now going to be inserted on this calendar table, right? I can exit my Power Pivot environment. So when I come here, the same way we used to insert the slicer, I'll go and then insert a timeline. Timelines are similar to slicers, but they are a bit focused. In fact, they are focused on columns that have dates. So if I come to the data model and I open this, it will just restrict me to the tables that have columns with dates. Okay, so we just created this calendar. If I open it up, I have access to the primary date column, which I'm going to select here, and then I'll click OK. So this is your timeline, allowing you to filter your calculations by date or time. We can change the level. So for months, you can change it to quarters, days, right? So I'm choosing years here. So I have only 2018 and 2019. Now, if I want to include this in my calculation, okay, all I need to do is come in here, bring a comma, and then call the timeline, which has a date in here. So I'll add that as well. Right. So now, if I select 2018, it should give me 2018's value. If I select 2019, it should give me 2019. If I select the 2 years, I'm back where I started from. Now for all these, if I clear all the slices and the timeline, I'm back to where I started. Okay, so usually when you are calculating, after you've determined all your slices and timelines, you can copy all that, Control C, okay, and then modify your existing calculations with that. Okay, so here I've pasted that in here, okay, and then I will repeat the process for the rest of my calculations. Okay, close this. Okay, then I'll do for profit as well, comma, paste this. Okay, and then finally for profit margin. All this to ensure that I have an interactive dashboard. Okay, so I'll close this. Now, in the final dashboard, when I come and then I'm looking for a particular segment, delivery modes, category, or date, okay, I now have my calculations. So it is this concept we've used here to give us that interaction. So hopefully you've learned some few things. We'll continue this series all the way to complete our dashboard so that you have another way to analyze your data with key functions. Thank you so much for watching. See you in the next episode.
If this video was helpful and you would like to receive more of these videos directly on your WhatsApp, you can send ad to this WhatsApp number. We'll add you to our broadcast list so you receive our videos directly. You can also visit our YouTube channel, Finance Skills Hub. All our old videos are here. Please subscribe for notification of new videos or connect with us on any of these social media handles. Thank you so much for watching.